The organ swelled into the recessional as sunlight sliced through the stained glass windows of St. Augustine's, turning the aisle into ribbons of ruby and sapphire. I stood at the altar steps in my charcoal morning suit, tie still perfectly knotted, boutonnière of white stephanotis trembling slightly against my lapel. Beside me, Lara, my wife of 7 minutes, gripped my hand so hard her new gold band pressed a crescent into my skin. Her veil had slipped during the kiss. A few strands of dark hair clung to her flushed cheek. She was laughing, the sound bright and startled, like she still couldn't believe we'd made it here after 4 years of long distance, cancelled plans, and me promising next year we'll set the date. Guests were already filing out toward the courtyard for champagne and photographs. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue she'd carried in her clutch since the rehearsal dinner. Lara's father clapped me on the shoulder so hard I felt it in my teeth. Everything smelled of lilies, fresh-cut grass, and the promise of open bar. Then my phone vibrated inside my breast pocket. I ignored it. The best man, my college roommate, already tipsy, leaned in and whispered, "Dude, turn that thing off. You're married now. The servers can wait." I smiled, reached in anyway, glanced at the screen out of habit. Caller ID, Ethan Caldwell. My stomach dropped the way it does when an elevator cable snaps. Ethan was 26, 6 years younger than me, freshly installed as VP of Operations after his father, my actual boss, Harlan Caldwell, decided the boy needed real responsibility to stop wasting trust fund money on crypto scams and bottle service tables in Miami. Ethan had been my direct report for 11 months. In that time he'd managed to alienate 3 of our top account managers, approve a vendor contract that cost the company 17% more than market, and once asked me, in front of the entire ops team, if I was still doing the hourly wage thing because I refused to expense a $400 dinner with a client. I silenced the call. Slipped the phone back into my pocket. Lara noticed. "Everything okay?" "Just spam," I lied. My voice sounded thin even to me. 2 minutes later it buzzed again. "Same name." I let it ring through. The third time, I excused myself from the receiving line, told Lara I needed the restroom, and stepped into the cool, echoing sacristy behind the altar. The door clicked shut. I answered on the 5th ring. "Ethan," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "It's my wedding day." His voice came through crisp and amused, the way it always did when he thought he'd won something. "I know. That's why I'm calling. Congratulations, by the way. Hope the open bar doesn't bankrupt your in-laws." I closed my eyes. Counted to 4. "What do you need?" "I need you to open the email I just sent. Subject line, immediate termination, effective today." The sacristy smelled of incense and old wood. My pulse hammered behind my eyes. "You're joking." "I don't joke about HR paperwork, Daniel. Read it." I pulled the phone away, thumbed open email with shaking fingers. There it was. From Ethan Caldwell e.caldwell@caldwent.com. To Daniel Reese d.reese@caldwent.com. CC, HR distribution list, Harlan Caldwell, executive team. Subject, immediate termination, effective today. Body, due to repeated instances of unauthorized absence, failure to meet critical project milestones, and conduct unbecoming of a senior operations manager, your employment with Caldwell Enterprises is terminated effective immediately. All company-issued devices and access will be deactivated within the hour. Your final paycheck, minus any outstanding advances or equipment deductions, will be direct deposited per standard policy. Do not attempt to access company systems or premises. Security has been notified. Best regards. Ethan Caldwell, Vice President, Operations. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. "Daniel?" Lara's voice came muffled through the door. "They're waiting for us outside." I swallowed. "I'll be right there." I put the phone back to my ear. "You did this today?" "On purpose." Ethan laughed, short, delighted. "Consider it my gift to you. No more late nights, no more weekends in the server room, no more pretending you're indispensable. You're free, man. Go enjoy your honeymoon. Oh, wait. You might want to check your bank balance first. We're holding your last 2 weeks until the equipment return is confirmed. Company laptop, phone, badge, the works. You're unbelievable. I'm efficient. You taught me that, remember? Results over feelings. Your words. Frame them. Hang them in your new unemployment office. I could hear the courtyard music starting, something upbeat, strings and piano. People laughing. Glasses clinking. Why? My voice cracked on the single word. Because you said no to me last week. In front of the directors. When I told you to push the Singapore rollout live even though the integration tests were failing. You looked me in the eye and said, that would be reckless. Reckless. To me. In a boardroom. You were going to tank a $30 million account. And you were going to embarrass me. So I fixed the problem. Permanently. Silence stretched. I heard my own breathing, too loud in the small room. You still there, Dan? I'm here. Good. One last thing. My father wants to speak with you. He's on the other line. I'm transferring you now. Try not to cry. It's your wedding day. The line clicked. Hold music, some generic piano rendition of Canon in D, played for 3 seconds. Then Harlan Caldwell's voice. Deeper. Rougher. Tired. Daniel. Harlan. I leaned my forehead against the cool stone wall. Your son just fired me. On my wedding day. A long exhale. I know. You know. I approved it. The words landed like a slap. I slid down the wall until I was sitting on the tile floor, knees drawn up, suit jacket bunching at the elbows. Why? Because he's my son. And because I'm retiring in 3 months. And because I've spent 41 years building this company, and I'm not watching it burn because the two of you can't stand each other. I laughed, bitter, disbelieving. So you let him fire me to teach me a lesson? No. I let him fire you because he's going to run the place someday, and I needed to see if he had the stomach for the hard calls. Turns out he does. You're proud of him. I'm proud he didn't flinch. I'm ashamed it was you on the other end. I pressed the heel of my hand against my eye socket. Hard. I gave you 16 years, Harlan. 16 years. I turned down 3 other offers. I worked Christmas. I missed my sister's wedding. I missed my father's funeral because we were in the middle of the Oracle migration. And you let your spoiled kid erase all of it with 1 email. Another silence. Longer this time. When Harlan spoke again, his voice was quieter. Almost gentle. I didn't let him erase anything, Daniel. I archived every performance review you ever had. Every client thank you. Every time you pulled an all-nighter and still made the 8 a.m. stand-up. They're in a folder labeled Reese, Contingency. I didn't speak. Couldn't. I'm calling because I owe you the truth. Ethan thinks this is permanent. He thinks he's won. He doesn't know I wrote a clause into my retirement agreement. If he forces out any employee with more than 10 years of service without board approval, the board has the right to reinstate that employee at their prior title and compensation, retroactive. With back pay. And a seat on the advisory council. My heart stuttered. You're saying. I'm saying you have a choice. Walk away clean. Take the severance Ethan's offering, 6 months, no strings. Disappear. Start over. Or come back in 3 months, the day I sign the papers, and take the chair next to his. Not under him. Beside him. Watching. Advising. Reminding him every damn day what real leadership looks like. I stared at the sacristy door. On the other side, music, laughter, my wife waiting in white silk and nervous joy. You're asking me to come back and babysit your son. I'm asking you to protect what we built. Together. Because if you walk away today, he'll run it into the ground inside 18 months. And I won't be alive long enough to stop him. A beat. I'm dying, Daniel. Pancreatic. 6 to 9 months if the chemo works. Less if it doesn't. Ethan doesn't know yet. I wanted to tell him after the transition. But I can't leave him the keys without someone who remembers why we locked the doors in the first place. My throat closed. I pressed my knuckles to my mouth. Outside, someone called my name. Lara's voice, worried now. I looked at the phone. At the email still open on the screen. At the timestamp, 11:47 a.m. For minutes after we said I do. Daniel? Harlan again. Softer. You don't have to answer now. Enjoy your day. Your wife. Your life. But when you're ready, when you've thought about it, call me. My personal line won't change. I nodded, even though he couldn't see it. The line went quiet. I sat there another minute, maybe 2. Then I stood. Straightened my tie. Brushed dust from my trousers. Opened the sacristy door. Lara was there, veil askew, eyes searching mine. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I forced a smile. Took her hand. Kissed her knuckles right over the new ring. I'm fine, I said. Just old business. She studied me. You sure? Positive. We stepped out into the courtyard together. Sunlight hit us like applause. Guests cheered. Confetti rained down in slow, glittering arcs. Someone handed me a flute of champagne. I raised it toward Lara, my wife, and she raised hers back, eyes shining. Behind her, the world kept turning, music, laughter, cake waiting under white tents, a future we'd barely started. In my pocket, the phone stayed silent. For now. But I knew deep in the marrow where decisions live, that sometime in the next 3 months I would make a call. And when I did, it wouldn't be to beg for my job back. It would be to collect what was mine. And to make sure Ethan Caldwell learned. Slowly, painfully, what it really meant to inherit a legacy. I drank the champagne in one long swallow. It tasted like iron in promise. And just a little like revenge.